welcome to episode 52 of The Bandwagon Fan, the show where we talk about all things pop culture, what we're into, sometimes what we're not into. It's a grab bag. I'm your host, AJ.
I'm Josh.
And Josh, how you doing today, man?
Doing all right. Getting close to that weekend.
Almost at that weekend. Yes, we are recording this on a Thursday. And let me tell you, your boy is ready for Friday. You got anything fun planned for the weekend?
Might be tomorrow, so Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna be hanging out with the family. Carlos is in town. My
Carlos,
brother, who's in the Navy from San Diego.
Yeah. Oh man, Carlos. His birthday is on 4th of July.
America.
He's the man, the myth, the legend. Okay, Carlos is the best. That's amazing. Yeah, I'm going to the Bears Cowboys game in Dallas this weekend, and it reminded me of the first time I don't know about you, but the first time I driven out of the state of a state on a road trip was with you. Remember that? Remember that time
to Missouri?
We drove to Missouri. Oh my goodness! So Josh and I went to go pick up a friend for, I think it was spring break.
I think it's Thanksgiving, actually.
Was it Thanksgiving?
I think
so. So yeah, it was. I mean, it was fun. It was actually a pretty smooth ride all the way there. We had no problems getting there. But then when we got to Missouri, we ran into all sorts of problems. So like rookie mistake number one, I think reality we left too late. I think we left
100%
because it's only a 6-hour drive from the Chicagoland area to like near the Ozarks. But we left at like 8 o'clock?
Yeah, it was late.
I don't know why we did that. It's so weird. But we left mad late. And so we're trying to find, look, we're at that time, I think we were like 22. Yeah, we were super young, and we didn't have maps. Google Maps was our map still back then. So I remember we drove down there and we got lost. We definitely got lost, and it was foggy. So it was already hard to see. And if you've never driven in Middle America, a lot of Middle America is just like plain lands. Like it's there's no discernible buildings or anything. It's just like nothing, like darkness. So I think when we got there, it was like 4 a.m, and then we had to go get food. I think we were trying to get to an IHOP. And it ended up being like an extra 2-hour detour. Like we were exhausted, man. I don't know why we did that.
We had to go get our boy and bring him home.
Yeah, it was some good times, man. It was a bonding experience, man.
For sure.
So yeah, man. Speaking of bonding experience, we watched kind of like a bro off film this week, right?
Yeah. Well, I think the film's called Black Adam. There's an alternate title.
Oh yeah, Black Ass the movie. I just think it's so funny.
Well, because then people assume they're like, "Oh, you hate the movie? Why?" What? But it's like, no, man, it's just a joke.
No, it's just a joke. It's just a joke. So like, first of all, maybe you can help me out here. You might be more well versed in Black Adam. I thought Black Adam was a villain. In the comic books.
We live in the age where villains have to be, sympathized with and misunderstood. But to be fair, it depends which comics you're reading. Black Adam, to like put it in the most simplest terms, he's bad guy Shazam.
Okay.
And yeah, honestly, it depends like what comic you picked up. He could either be this, tyrant. He could be some guy trying to redeem himself. He could just be, the foil for Shazam. Depends what you're reading.
Depends what you're reading. Yeah. So you can imagine my confusion. I've never read any comics. I honestly haven't read too many like DC comics. So I haven't read any comics with him in it. So I was like, all right, so he's just going to be like the villain. And that's not quite what we got. So I had so many questions, and I'm like, I think some of these are answered, if you read the comics or, whatever. But I was so confused by just the fact that Black Adam like gains his power by saying the word Shazam. Cause I'm like, isn't that the name of Shazam? Or is that not his name? Or is that his like human name? And there's some wizard name for him. Like I figured that's what it is.
So they did you pick up how like they explained why he says Shazam and Shazam says Shazam? I don't know if you like
No, I didn't catch
understood.
that.
Okay,
No,
okay, yeah,
no.
we'll get into that.
Okay.
But yeah, he basically does have the same powers as Shazam. The only difference is that Shazam has the power of the Greek gods, and Black Adam has the power of Egyptian
The
gods.
Egyptian
Depends on the
gods.
version, but usually Egyptian. I don't know if they mentioned it in the movie either, to be honest.
I think they just like really strongly allude to it because it's in not Egypt, you know.
Right.
So yeah, okay. So let's just get into it because I think there's a lot to unpack here.
Hmm.
Like I'll let you take the lead here. We can kind of go through the movie a little bit.
Follow me, I know the way. So we start out the movie where flashback. Personally, I don't know if this is the best idea of where to start the film, but you
Agreed.
have this tyrant king of this country, fake country called Kandak, and he creates this crown, the crown of Sabek, which looks like a card game from Star Wars. I think it's
Mhm.
spelled the same way. And legend goes that this tyrant king was defeated by a slave boy who became a champion for the people of Kandak,
Mhm.
Black Adam. And Black
Black
Adam,
ass.
yes, also known as that. He was given the powers of stamina of Shu, the speed of Horus, the strength of Ammon, the wisdom of Zahudi, the power of Aten, and the courage of Mihen. Spells out Shazam. So he's given these powers, and
What?
yeah, it spells out Shazam.
Oh my god! Did I like have a stroke? Did I miss this?
I don't know if
What
they
the?
said it. I don't think they said it in the movie. I have to.
What?
I'm looking through my notes. I don't think they said it in the movie.
I
So
don't remember this. That's crazy. Okay, all
yeah.
right.
And then Shazam, Billy Batson, the character from the Shazam movie, who was played by who played him? I can't think of his name now.
Oh, I cannot remember his name. He is the guy from. I know he's in
Is he in
Marvelous
Chuck?
Miss Maisel. He is Chuck. Oh my goodness, what's
Yeah,
his name?
that guy.
Oh my goodness, this is so
But
embarrassing.
he has the powers of Egyptian gods. So like something
Zachary
from
Levi. Zachary
yes,
Levi. That's
yes,
his name.
him.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's like Atlas, Zeus, Hercules, stuff like that. Um, so yeah, so the slave boy, like the legend goes, he became a champion, defeated this tyrant king, and then we get thrown into modern times where Kondak is now run by this organization called Intergang, which is like
Hmm.
this like international gang, hence the name.
Hmm.
Very very clever. To me, it didn't really feel like they had a lot of pull in the city. It was like they kind of like control checkpoints and stuff, but I hate to say, like, the filmmakers didn't do a good job of convincing me that these people run the country. It just felt like
Yeah,
they
I
were like
didn't
border
feel.
patrol.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't feel like they were oppressed. I felt like they were just occupying this area, and I think that's like, yeah, I think that's one mistake the movie definitely made that we don't get the. And we'll get into it a little bit later, but there just isn't that dynamic between a helpless people and an oppressive force.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. We'll get into that because they try to play it off later on, and it doesn't connect for me. But I digress. And then we're introduced to this archaeologist named Adriana Tomaz, and she ends up finding the crown. And there was actually a comic series that came out the past few months leading up to this movie. So there were some things where if you didn't read the comics, you might not understand 100% what was going on.
I didn't really understand the context of that little squad. You know what I mean? Like I didn't really get
Like
what the
Adriana
like.
and her brother and her son, that whole thing.
Well, not just that. So like, okay, so I don't want to jump ahead too far, but I just the crown thing was a MacGuffin for 75% of the movie
Yeah.
because they never go into why they needed it. If that
It's pretty. There's a lot of ambiguity in this movie. Yeah, very superhero tropey. Not that is necessarily a totally bad thing,
Not a bad
but
thing.
there are
Yeah.
certain things that don't pay off.
Yeah.
So, anyways, Adriana, she gets ambushed by Inner Gang
Hmm.
and ends up in this tomb, and she reads this inscription because she's an archaeologist, so she can read whatever the ancient Kandaki language is, and says the magic word, literally magic word Shazam, and frees Teth Adam, the Dwayne the Rock Johnson's character, Black Adam,
Hmm.
and then Adriana, her son, Amon, uh, something you wouldn't know. They're from the comics, but their roles are quite different. If I remember
Okay.
correctly, she's actually a slave that's given to Black Adam as a gift to try to
Oh,
get him to join this coalition.
that that
And
that sounds more like Black Adam.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
But he actually ends up like falling in love with her. He gives her a portion of his power, so she becomes poor. Like, unfortunately, because of the time we live in, her name is Isis, which
Okay. Yeah.
has Egyptian significance, but
Egyptians.
because
Yeah.
of
Right. Right.
modern events, current events, like that has a different connotation. And
Hmm.
her son in the movie is actually, I believe, her brother in the comics.
Okay.
He also gets powers, and so Black Adam kind of creates his own little Black Adam family in the comics.
Similar to Shazam, I'm assuming.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. It's like
Yeah.
a mirror opposites. And then we get a kind of like a little bit of a cameo with Amanda Waller, who is known from the Suicide Squad.
From Suicide Squad. Yeah.
And
And well, both versions of Suicide
yeah, right.
Squad.
She made it through that. Her and a couple
I was like,
others.
sheesh, okay.
That woman, she does not play. She does not go away.
She does
And
not.
she sees Black Adam. She's like, "Hey, this guy is dangerous. And if there's anything you know about Amanda Waller, she does not like things that are dangerous that she can't control."
Right.
So she
No
calls
loose
up.
ends.
She calls up the JSA, the
Mhm.
Justice Society of America, to go deal with Black Adam. And the leader of the JSA is Hawkman. And then he also has recruited Cyclone, Atom Smasher, and Dr. Fate, which Cyclone and Atom Smasher are actually legacy characters. I don't know if you're aware of that.
So okay, let's sit in this pocket real quick. So first of all, I just have to say, Hawkman is played by Aldous Hodge, and overall, I like this character a lot.
Oh, I thought he was great.
I thought he did a really good job. I think initially I was like, yo, look at this ghetto Black Panther. But he really brings a lot of gravitas to his character where he is very headstrong and very what's the word, like persistent, like almost stubbornly
Yeah,
persistent.
very,
And,
very.
that's his leadership style. And I think something that the movie did pretty well was that you can see how the rest of the team really just like defaults to his leadership.
Mhm.
This I'm assuming the Atom Smasher portion, they insinuated that, oh, this is Adam Smasher Gen 2. He's very inexperienced.
Mhm.
And then the Cyclone, they kind of just, I don't know, backhandedly kind of explained, yeah, she has this whole arc. Don't worry about it. So I figure that these are characters that are probably deeply rooted in DC lore. Um,
Yeah. So DC is kind of playing a weird game here where again, if you read the comics that led up to this, you will have a little bit of a better understanding, or if you've read older DC stuff. The JSA is like a Justice League team. They've been around for a long time, and so Doctor Fate, he's an old dude played by Pierce Brosnan.
did a great
Cyclone,
job too, by the way.
oh, so good.
Yeah, he did a great
Um,
job. Yeah.
Cyclone is I believe, the grandson of a hero called Red Tornado, who
Okay.
is, if you're a DC fan, you're gonna get triggered by this. He's basically DC's version of Vision. He's like an
Okay.
android type of
Okay.
thing.
Yeah. Andrew. Okay.
So that's where she comes from. And then Adam Smasher, I believe, is the nephew of the original Adam Smasher, who, for the life of me, also cannot remember this guy's name, but he was played by the acting coach from Barry.
Oh
What is his
yeah,
name?
the dude from Good Times or whatever it's called. I can't remember the actor's name. I'm so bad with actors' names today. But yes, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, so it's like these legacy characters, and then Hawkman. They I don't think they explain this, if he's either really old or he has a power that I'll discuss a little bit later that explains like why he looks young but has been around for a long time.
Yeah,
It's actually very interesting. But
I
yeah,
figure
that's the
because
JSA team.
him and Doctor Fate's characters, they are clearly old friends,
Hmm.
but they look 50 years in
Yeah.
age difference.
Yep.
And
Yep.
then it had me going like, when did you team up? When he was 10? Like what the heck? What are you talking about? But yeah, I kind of figured there was something else going on there because I'm like, they're talking like, just one of these things. Like, what do you
Yep.
mean? You look like you just got here like a week ago. That's crazy.
Hawkman Carter's like, I'm getting too old for this. Pierce is
Yeah,
like, what are you
getting
talking?
to
What do you mean? What?
yeah, no. And I felt like this part of the movie was I felt like this movie, as you will go through, is a kind of a run of the mill origin story, but I felt
Right.
like this part was interesting. I
It was
felt like
fun.
their dynamic was like what I hope Marvel can achieve with a Fantastic Four movie type of thing,
Okay. Okay.
where like each character is not necessarily a one-dimensional character,
Right.
but we don't have to go through the we got to work together as a team. Like I hate that trope so much. It's so
Right.
stupid
Right.
to me, and it's like it's so played out that it's like it was refreshing to see like, hey, look, we got a job to do. We're gonna do it. We're a little rough because we haven't worked together a lot yet, but we'll get through it. And they did, and I thought that was cool. I like that part.
Yeah, and to dig a little bit deeper into the characters, just my first take. I saw this movie once, so I'm going off
Yeah,
of that one viewing. Adam Smasher is like the formulaic, charismatic character. He's goofy, he's fun. He seems like a nice guy. But to me, throughout the film, he didn't get enough screen time and development for me to like feel super attached to him.
played by
There,
Noah
there,
Centino, by the way.
who?
Noah Centino. He's like really big with like younger kids. He was in like
Oh,
50 Yeah, he's
okay.
like in so many Netflix movies. Like he's yeah.
So it was okay.
Little I should say little kids. Younger
Like Gen
women
Z.
love the guy. Yeah, they love this guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see why. I mean, he's like a
Yeah.
charismatic, good-looking dude.
Charismatic guy. Yeah.
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 And I would have loved to have seen a little bit more development. That'll probably be my biggest critique is I didn't think there was enough character development for my
Yep.
liking. It was very like
I would
plot
agree.
action driven. But no, he was a fun character. Cyclone again. It seems like there's like this mystique to her, but again, you don't get to dive into it. I will say the visuals behind her powers were super cool. Like the
Yeah, it was
cinematography,
very, very cool. Yeah.
gorgeous.
I
And
like
like
that.
whoever like handled her hair, like every time she used her powers, her hair
Her
looked
hair.
flawless.
Yeah, and I think
Which
where this character may differ from other characters is that they basically explain that her powers come from her this infusion with nanobeams.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So her body, I think the insinuation that her body is at least partially or partially consumed with nanobeams, which is cool. I thought that was cool. It's a cool
Yeah.
modern day take on whatever the
And,
powers were.
and like what was cool again, going back to the visuals, one, it was like it looked beautiful, but
Yeah.
two, the fact that she has super curly hair and that they were able to like play with that in the visuals, I think is
Mhm.
cool. I don't know. It's something small, but something you don't really see a whole lot of.
One of the things I think this movie did very well was from a visual perspective, it did look like a comic book come to life. I think we're so
Yes.
used
Yes.
to Zack Snyder's takes on what that looks like, where Zack Snyder's I guess you can say like color palette that he uses is
Mhm.
so distinct, but this I felt like was a I don't know, less aggressive way to make this, the images in here felt like I'm watching an actual comic book. And I thought that was a cool blending of almost like the DC colorization and Zack Snyder's framing, because that's really what I think Zack Snyder does so well is that he frames these incredible looking shots that like when you stand back and look at them, they almost look like art pieces. Like
Yes. Yeah.
I felt like this movie kind of did a good in between.
Yeah. Did you mean the like Marvel colorization?
Yeah,
Okay.
like Marvel does like one color. It's bright. Okay, everything's just bright, and I felt like this movie has a good like mix
Yeah,
between,
they're a good palette.
yeah, good palette, good color palette.
Yeah. Speaking of
Yeah.
Marvel, there's a character who people are probably going to say is a ripoff of Doctor Strange, Doctor Fate.
Oh, they don't even know. They
They
don't
actually
even know.
they don't because Doctor Fate was created before Doctor Strange. So I'm just going to throw that out there.
Yeah, and going back to what we said earlier, I really did like Pierce Bronson's characterization of Doctor Fate. What I love about Doctor Fate, at least from what I've seen and the little comics I read and the TV shows, is that he is a hero whose scope is so much wider than what some of the like more local heroes can understand. So a
Right.
lot of times he's making decisions that seem wrong. And I think that is such a good, I guess you could say, like monkey's paw with Dr. Fate, that there is a cost to having him around. You know what
Yeah.
I
No,
mean?
you're right.
Like
You're right.
there's a literal cost to having him around, because the decisions he's making, they are the scope it reaches is very wide. And so in the context of this story, the story isn't very complicated, right? We they the JSA, they realize that Black Adam has come back to life, and they're like, we got to put him back in his lid. Which, low key, by the way, not a great prison if he can just break out by somebody saying the word Shazam. Kind of crazy. If they had built, like, I don't know, a shop that was like a magic shop over that building, that they'd be in a lot of trouble. So I just don't really understand the logic behind just locking him
Yeah.
underground. Whatever. So the what is it? The JSA, the
Society.
Association. What's the A stand for?
Justice Society of America. America.
Okay. Okay. Well, yes, they come in like peacekeepers, quote unquote. And I think probably one of my favorite parts of the movie is how do you say the country? Is it Kondak?
Kondak. Yeah.
Kondak, yeah. The people of Kondak, they're not here for this. They're like, hey,
No.
man, we've been oppressed for 37 years. Don't come in here telling us who we can cheer for, because Black Adam, he is in this part of the movie, pretty indiscriminate about what he's doing, but he at least is killing what he perceives as the oppressors. And
Mm-hmm.
so when the JSA arrives, they are trying to stop him from killing these, this what is it, inter
Inner
squad and
gang.
inter gang, whatever. They're trying to stop him, and the people are like, hey man, he's doing something. Which, again, another part that I was like, you know what, I like that, because that is a very realistic perspective on, like, when someone is doing something, you don't really care what it is they're going to do as long as it brings some results.
Right.
And I think one of the only downsides I can really like, some of the downsides I think this movie had, was this inability to make the Rock's character like evil. Like, it's okay. I felt like it would have been okay to make him evil if the result was good. If that makes any
Right.
sense.
Right.
Like I felt like it would have been okay if his motive may have been a little selfish, even if we understood the context on the other side. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because essentially, where this all leads to is, I think the movie did a poor job of using what is the doctor's name? What's the archaeologist's name?
Adriana.
Adriana's
Yeah.
son, Amon.
Oh, Amon. Yeah.
Amon, yeah, yeah. The story uses, it's trying to draw that parallel, because at this point in the movie, we know that Black Adam has lost his son, right? He's lost
And
his
he's
son.
kind of a liar.
Yeah, he is a liar, right?
Or somebody lied. Somebody lied
Yeah,
to
the
make him out
Justice
to be a hero.
Society. Yeah, the Justice Society is like, hey, he's not the champion of Kondak that you guys thought he was. He's the reason Kondak is in the place that it is now.
Mm-hmm.
And so, they're using Amon as this, I guess, surrogate for the son that he lost, because he can see, his son and the kid and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I just didn't think the movie did a good job of tying that together, because I felt like that would have been at least an understandable motive for why he decides to do things for good instead of do things for bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I felt like it was just so loosely tied together. And we'll talk about why later, but I just felt like that part was loosely tied together.
Yeah. And like you were saying, like he sees that similarity because Amon wants to take care of his country, protect his country. Harut did the same thing. He became the champion, but they like, what did he do? Like, what was he doing? They had this tyrant king. Like, why didn't he
Yeah,
fight the king?
right.
It did not
It's a little
add up.
strange. Yeah, and I think one of the biggest failings in this movie was we didn't spend enough time with Black Adam.
Mhm.
He was a catalyst for a lot of the events in this movie more than the driving force.
Right.
And I felt like I don't I think in a vacuum, this movie doesn't make sense without context. And I think maybe they should have thought about doing some type of prequel movie, or this movie, or the idea of this movie being a sequel, because I feel like if the concern was a budget, then you could have just done kind of what they do with Shazam, where you have one actor play Tef Adam, and then you have The Rock play the Shazam version of Tef Adam.
Right. Right.
And you could have had what was Tef Adams' son's name?
Root.
Harut. Yeah, you could have had Harut Shazam version also be The Rock. Like, it could have made sense, but Warner Brothers. I don't look. Warner Brothers. If anyone from Warner Brothers ever listens to this podcast, y'all got to slow down. Okay, you're not. You don't have to catch up to Marvel. We don't
Yo.
want what Marvel is pumping out anyways. Take your time and just tell
Yeah.
cool stories. You know what I
You're
mean?
you're
Like,
you're right. They took a step towards this though. I believe I heard James Gunn is taking over the film
yeah,
aspect of
that's gonna be
DC.
awesome. That's gonna be really
So
good.
I hope that kind of rights the ship a little bit because I read as far as like Marvel and DC, I mostly read DC. That's what got me
Yeah.
back into comics as an adult. So like I hate to see like their movies not turn out as well as I would like.
Well,
I'm always rooting for them to be good.
well, me too. I feel like these stories are more interesting because,
Hmm.
as we find out in the story, the crown the crown of Sabak is stolen, and is stolen by, I think his name is Ishmael. Is that the guy's
Ishmael,
name?
yeah, he was like their
Yes.
friend who
He
wasn't
was
their
like their
friend.
friend. Yeah, he betrayed them. So he steals the crown. Excuse me. He tries to steal the crown, chases after Aemon, and Adriana is kind of just like, "Hey, can do the right thing for once?" You know what I mean? She's like, whether or not you were a hero or weren't a hero, do the right thing. And the JSA is like, if you're gonna do the right thing, do it the right way. And I think they tried to use that for comic relief. It teetered a little bit on annoying, but I don't think
Yeah.
they didn't keep going down that well. But long story short, you know they have to now confront um Ishmael and Amon. Ishmael, who has the crown, who wants the crown, he's using Amon as a bartering chip. And long story short, they give him the crown. He says whatever he's got to do to activate the crown. And in this really intense moment where he then shoots Amon, uh, Black Adam saves Amon, and then in his rage, like, literally nukes the facility that they're in. You know what I mean? Like, literally blows it to shreds, and then has flashbacks of when he did that 5,000 years prior. And then that's when we get like the reveal that he wasn't given the powers by the wizards. You know what I mean? That the
Hmm.
powers were
Yeah, he
given
didn't
to
deserve
him.
them.
He didn't deserve it. He didn't do anything to deserve the powers. His son gave it to the dad in order to save Tef Adam, and Tef Adam then used those powers to literally destroy the the monarchy that existed in that era. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And so and again, I felt like this was an example of, like, it's okay to paint him as a villain. Like, what he did, I mean, he committed a genocide. I mean,
Yeah,
that's,
exactly. He's a
you know
war
what I mean? Like,
criminal. Like
he's a war.
play into that.
He committed a genocide, and he did it out of pure rage. We don't see the rage. We don't see the conflict. We don't even see. I felt like something that the movie could have really used was this scene where we see the philosophy differences between Harut and Tef Adam.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Adam's philosophy is like, the world has never given me anything. Why should I give anything back? And Harut's like, you know what? If we never give anything back, how can we get anything in return? You could have gone into that, and I felt like there is why I think I prefer DC stories over Marvel stories, because
Okay.
there are real conflicts that are not rooted in my mom died, my dad died,
Yeah.
I'm also a genius. I'm a billion. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're
Right.
real conflicts rooted in real
No,
philosophy.
exactly. Like these are two enslaved people who approach
Yeah.
their oppression in different ways.
Hmm.
One of them, Harut, he was meant to die, and he was okay with that because he
Yeah.
wanted to inspire resistance and rebellion. Whereas Seth Adam, he's like, you killed my family, I'm gonna kill all of you.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm pretty sure Warner Brothers would have been afraid, but I was like, this side plot is a more interesting story than the one we're watching right now.
Oh, I agree. I
100%.
agree.
Like this is a more interesting story than the one that we're watching right
It
now.
was two movies chopped up into one,
Into
in my
one.
opinion.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I agree. I agree with that. And so because of this conviction, Tef Adam then says, you know what? I, I see the error of my ways, which boo, boo. I didn't really like this part. And then he's like, he says Shazam, they lock him up. And then it turns out, the dude with the crown of Sabak, he needed to die in order to get sent to the underworld. And then the movie lost me, man. I'm sorry. The
Yeah,
movie,
I
the
I
movie lost
agree.
me at this point. The third act is absolute dog water. They do Skybeam. Josh and I talk about this all the time. We hate
Laser in the
Skybeam.
sky. Yep.
Laser in the sky does not look. If I saw a laser in the sky, the first thing I'm thinking of is, oh, that's pretty cool. It's not impending doom. Uh, like the basically Israel goes to hell or
Mm.
whatever that is, and they're like, hey, the wizards got a champion. Let's get one too. And then he comes back to Earth and destroys the JSA. Dr. Fate's like, I've foreseen this, which also I didn't really love this part. Kind of stupid. I don't really understand what the point of not showing us the vision, only to then psych us out. Like that was stupid. But Dr. Fate basically sacrifices himself, which also he's not dead, right?
Well, okay, so there's a few things that I want to talk about real quick, like in this
Yeah.
moment. First of all, Ishmael, he like brings skeletons, like the dead, to life. When was this established that this was a power of his?
Yeah, I didn't
It
really
just
get
happened.
that. I
And
didn't really understand what was the plan behind that too.
well,
Like,
you know what it was? It was like, okay, we need to give like basically, like the bad guys for the civilians to have to fight, and
yeah,
cannon fodder type of
we
villains.
don't we don't need that.
Yeah,
We don't
we
need that.
don't, we don't. And as far as fate, he has a vision. He goes to fight Ishmael by himself, puts a force field. He's like, I have to do this, otherwise Carter's going to die.
Yeah.
What's really interesting is Carter actually is technically immortal. Every time he dies, he reincarnates.
Doesn't Dr. Fate know that?
I would think so. So I was like, when he said that, I was like, but if he dies, he'll just come back. Like, why is like it'd be sad, but like he's gonna come back. Like, why do you need to die?
Well, I don't think Dr. Fate is dead either because we don't see a body. Remember that golden rule in movies and TV shows? If you don't see a body underground, they're not dead. And
Well,
if there's multiple dimensions, he's definitely not dead. You know what I
but
mean?
I think he could be, for all intent and purposes, dead. But because, like, I think we'll see him again.
Big sure.
But in the comics, there does become a second Doctor Fate who's actually Egyptian, which makes sense because Doctor Fate's lore is Egyptian lore that was basically whitewashed to be like, hey, white guy, here's Egyptian
Oh,
powers.
I didn't know
And
that.
so, yeah, the
Oh, that would
current
make
Doctor
sense
Fate
because
is an Egyptian, like,
isn't his symbol one of the Egyptian?
yes, yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
exactly.
that's so true. I didn't even think
Yeah.
about that. Yeah.
In the comics, yeah, it's a Egyptian, like he's actually a descendant of one of the pharaohs, but he's like
Yeah.
he's a med student in New Jersey or something, and he gets the
So
helmet of Naboo.
so in Young Justice, they Dr. Fate is a pretty like important character because who is Zatanna's father? Uh
Zatara, I think.
Is it Zatara?
I
So
I think so. I've
he's
never watched Young Justice.
He's Dr. Fate in there. And he actually,
What?
yes, and he, I know this is an aside, but it's just such a good arc because Zatanna actually takes on the mantle of Dr. Fate to save the Young Justice members. But
Whoa.
as and something they didn't really explain in the movie, Dr. Fate chooses who needs to be the who needs to carry the moniker. The helmet chooses the moniker.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
don't have a choice once you put the helmet on. You technically lose your free will, and it's only the helmet lets you enter in and out of the helmet if it chooses to. With the understanding that I mean, it's not a choice. So Zatanna, puts on the helmet. Now she's locked to the helmet, and Zatara says, "You know what? You have such a long life to live. I'm gonna take this mantle from you." And so he becomes Doctor Fate. And so through all 3 or 4 seasons of Young Justice, he's doing his thing. And in this past season, he's dying, and the helmet's like, "All right, time to find a new person." but they don't want to lock one person to it. So Zatara and her little small squad of sorcerers, they rotate the schedule, and that doctor you're
Oh, okay.
referencing is one of the people. One of the doctor you're
Oh,
referencing is one of the
wow.
people that gets the helmet. Yeah. So they rotate every 3 weeks or something like that to wear the helmet, so that so no one has to essentially
Lose their
have to
life.
their life. Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
The helmet increases
interesting.
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
so
pretty
so
cool.
I think that's where they might be going with this. If you don't dig too far into it, Doctor Fate dies trying to defeat Sabek, but it kind of like rallies Black Adam. He like communicates with Black Adam, wakes him up out of the Task Force Z facility. Black Adam
Yeah,
comes in, saves the day. There's really not a whole lot to say
that's really
about
there's not
that.
a whole much. Yeah, it was fine. It was fine.
The
I heard.
third act is definitely eclipsed by the post credits.
Yeah, yeah, Superman popped through.
Yeah,
Which again, excuse me, Black
our
Adam
boy's back.
is,
Yeah,
yeah, but not just that, but Black Adam is a villain, right? Isn't doesn't he fight Superman?
he does. Yeah.
So I don't understand this whole thing of making him a hero. I felt like if you were going to go in this direction, instead of being a general hero, they should have really leaned into this. He's a hero to the people. He's a hero and loyal only to the people of
Kondak.
Kondak. Yes,
Yeah. Well,
like
that's how he is in the comics. So it's funny you're
yeah,
saying that because that's what it is in
I
the comics.
figured he is, because it makes so much, it would make so much more sense, because it now when people approach him, they have to approach him with some level of reverence, right?
Hmm.
It's not just a hey, come on, man, we gotta go thing. And I feel like that was a missed opportunity. I hope in future movies they can kind of lean into this a little bit more, because I think Black Adam is a way, it's a different type of movie than Shazam. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? I feel like
Oh yeah,
Shazam is more for kids, and I
dude,
think
I
that's fine.
loved that movie.
I liked it. Yeah,
It's so
I liked the first
heartwarming
one.
and
It is.
fun.
I liked it a lot. I thought I was gonna hate it, and I liked it a lot. And
Yeah,
to this movie's defense, I didn't hate it.
yeah.
I
Oh, same,
wasn't
same.
bored throughout the movie. I thought it was pretty solid. There was a lot there that was fun. I mean, the fight scenes were really good.
Yeah,
Uh,
Black Adam is a powerhouse. He's
yeah,
unstoppable.
yeah. I think one of the funny, there were two scenes that made me laugh a lot. For whatever reason, he doesn't use doors, and I think it's
Yeah.
just showing like his inability to process the small things in front of him, because he literally just walks through walls.
I mean, well,
And
think about it, like if you're basically invulnerable, it's like why would I waste my time walking through a door? I can just go through a wall.
yeah, oh, it was so funny. And then I think the only time I actually laughed like hard in the movie was at some point Dr. Fate saves Adriana's brother from bleeding out, and he's like, "Don't worry, this isn't how you die." And he's like, "What do you
Yeah.
mean?" And he's like, "You died in electricity." He's like, "I'm an electrician." And then later in the movie, when they're fighting the zombies, he pops out the car and starts whacking zombies with a pipe. And they're like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "It's okay. I don't die. I died to electricity."
Yeah, yeah. He's like I
I
can do
thought
whatever
that
I want
was
right now.
I thought that was pretty funny. I was like, all right, you guys
Yeah,
got me. That's a good setup.
yeah.
That's a good setup. But yeah, what were your thoughts with this one?
Final thoughts. It's a fun movie. It showcases Teth Adams' power. The Rock is an imposing figure physically, so I think that plays a lot into it.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, The Rock comes off as like, I mean, he's a cocky guy.
Yeah,
There's a little bit of a narcissistic streak. To be that successful in Hollywood, you have to have that. So it's not a dig at him, but that doesn't play well into a character who should be like this powerhouse, benevolent tyrant. So that my critique of that. There's a lot of plot holes, a lot of things that were unexplored. Where I read the prequel comics, I've read some Black Adam comics, so I was like, okay, I kind of get this. But like someone who
sure.
like has no idea is like, what is
Me,
happening?
me, yeah.
Um, and speaking of the comics, my first experience with Black Adam was reading the series called 52,
Mhm.
and it focused very much on Black Adam for a while, where he's this benevolent dictator of Kondak. People are terrified of him, but like there's law and order. It's kind of like what's the one country in the Middle East where it's like no crime because like they'll like chop your head off if you like steal a car or whatever.
Oh, I'm
Is
not
it the
sure. I'm not sure.
UAE? Like with Dubai and all that?
United Arab Emirates, or
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
it's kind
maybe.
of like that where like people don't
Sure,
commit crimes because like they'll kill you if you do that kind of a thing. And he like you were saying like he is Kondak's hero and protector. Like he does not
sure,
care about the world at all. He'll
sure.
watch it burn. as long as
Sure.
Kahndaq is safe.
As long as Kahndaq is safe. Yeah.
And it's like almost kind of like Wakanda-esque, where it's like you don't go there, you don't mess with them, like they'll mess you up. And that's my preferred version of Black Adam. I've read a few other versions, and I wish we would have seen this in the movie. In the current series, Black Adam is like he was evil, and now he's trying to like rehabilitate his image and like be a good guy because he's
Sure.
like, I've been evil for 5,000 years. I'm
Sure.
tired of it. But yeah, I enjoyed the movie. It's fun. Go watch it. I'll watch it again, whether
Sure.
it's streaming or back in theaters again.
Whatever. Yeah.
It's a fun movie. Go see it.
Yeah, I really agree with all your sentiments. I think where my only frustrations was that there's a lot of cool things in here. Again, the fight scenes I thought were really good.
Mhm.
You know, I love the way they showcase all the heroes' powers, and I love the sheer brute force that Black Adam fights with. You know what I mean? It's not refined. It's not elegant. It's just straight raw power, and it matches the Rock. I
Yeah.
think I think the movie's biggest flaw. We don't get a lot of the Rock. I just think like it's okay. Like let him be more than this poor man's Drax, if that makes any sense, where
Yeah. Yeah.
you're trying to pull a lot of the humor from his fish out of water. Like what I would love to see from a sequel is to see how much Kahndaq has changed under his quote unquote rule.
Dude,
And
yeah.
I would love the conflict to be the people basically pointing at him and being like, you are no better than the previous monarchs here.
Mhm.
Because what good is freedom if we have a dictator? And I feel like that is a better way to like give give gravity and context to who Black Adam's trying to be without making the Rock seem like a bad guy. Because as we will get into lengthy detail in our probably super long episode of House of the Dragon, being a good king comes at a cost, and being a bad king also comes at a cost. It's almost impossible to be a perfect ruler. It is. Something has to give, and I think Black Adam being inexperienced, coming from a place of a lot of hate and revenge, he's going to rule with an iron fist.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
no way around it. Like he's going to rule with an iron fist. So I feel like they need to lean into that, and I feel like that could create a really cool sequel. It really could. It could. It I think one of the coolest ways that could be achieved is if that drives him to seek help from people like Shazam, people like whatever, the other people he would never think to turn to. Because the reality is that while he may be all powerful in his physicality, he lacks a lot of tact. And
Yeah.
I think that could be cool. I think there's a lot of potential there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for this episode. If you like what you heard, like, comment, subscribe, share it with a friend. You can check out our other episodes wherever you listen to your other favorite podcasts. We're getting a lot of views on YouTube, so if you're enjoying this conversation, engage with us. If you agree with us, let us know. If you disagree, let us know. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you in the next one.
See you later. The Bandwagon Fan Podcast is hosted by Josh Jimenez, Alex Melgosa, and me, AJ Soy. Our show is produced by Kate Smith and edited by your boy, AJ. Our social media is managed by Natalia Kokulia, and our theme song, Lush Waves, is provided to us by Taylor Lewin of _audio. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.